Welcome to the 3030 Health Podcast. The following discussion is for education and entertainment. It is not intended to diagnose or treat disease. Please do not apply any of this information without first discussing it with your doctor. Here is your host, Dr. Ruiz.
Hello everyone, super excited about my guest today. My guest today is Dr. Mariza Snyder. Dr. Mariza Snyder believes that a healthy lifestyle should not be a chore. As a woman's hormone practitioner, she believes that you can heal your hormones without hormones. She aims to help her patients by balancing hormones naturally using powerful modalities and self-care rituals. By incorporating simple daily habits, she believes that you can transform your life into a healthier, more vibrant you, and you can become the CEO of your own healthcare. Remember, PaleoFX is just around the corner, and if you haven't gotten your tickets yet, check out the link on my Facebook post. I hope you enjoy the show. Hello everyone, super excited to be here with my friend Dr. Mariza Snyder. Dr. Snyder, how are you?
I am doing great. How are you doing today?
Well, just keeping busy. It's Monday, and Mondays are, like you said, pretty busy days. And, I heard that you had a couple of interviews today, but you were on the opposite side of the interview desk.
I was playing the role of you earlier today, and it's so much fun to interview people. I love the conversation. I love connecting. And then ultimately, I think the big reason that you and I both do what we do is because we want to help people get their bodies back on track.
Yeah, and that's the end goal, to try to disseminate this information to as many people as we can. I was having a conversation with Dr. Ben Lynch, and I said, before we started recording, I said, I love doing this because I get to ask the dumb questions so you don't have to. so my listeners don't have to. But before we start, in true 3030 health fashion, Dr. Snyder, what's your hero story?
Ooh, my hero story. And you know what? I got one. I actually have two hero stories, but I'm going to talk about the first one because I think it's really in alignment with what this podcast is all about. My first one it started when I was a little girl, ended at 24. And then the second one, it's so funny, right? When you think you're doing great, right? When you think all the pieces are together, it all just sometimes comes crashing down. And it felt that way to me. My first story inspired me to become a practitioner. And then right when I opened my practice, I had been in practice for about a year. I was burning the candle at both ends. I had this big hormone crash, and it literally felt like my body failed me. And I have a feeling you have a lot of patients who come into your office who feel just like that their body has failed them. It felt like the ultimate betrayal. And so I realized today that it was a blessing. I learned so much. It has me on this big crusade today. It changed the trajectory of my practice and the way that I take care of my patients. But it happened in my early 30s. Basically, when I hit the wall, I just remember waking up one day with such severe chronic fatigue that I could not lift my head up off the pillow. And I felt like I was trying to crawl my way to the bathroom to brush my teeth, take the shower, do all the things so that I can be presentable and take care of my patients that day who so often were dealing with the same things that I was dealing with. And I remember thinking to myself as I was looking in the mirror that I felt like such a fake. I felt like such a phony because here I was dealing with the same issues that I was trying to treat these women for. Chronic fatigue, hormone issues, stubborn weight, crazy erratic periods, mood swings, brain fog. I mean, you name it. I had it all. I was dealing with it all at the same time. And I remember thinking to myself, something's got to shift. It was this self-awareness of what am I doing to my body? What is going on? Because I played a big role in what happened. I didn't just wake up one day and bam, I couldn't lift my head up off the pillow. It took months and months to get there. I had to make a lot of choices to get there. And so I began really reworking the way I live my life, the way I eat, just everything about how I operate. I had deregulated cortisol levels. I completely just blew out just my hormones in that way. I had, pushing towards Hashimoto's, and it was just a hot mess of a situation. And I was so grateful to have some great colleagues around me that helped me get myself back on track. But I was also really, really grateful to my self-awareness, that recognition that something had to shift in me in order for me to heal, and get my body back on track.
Now, is this like immediately after school?
This was pretty much immediately after school.
I think I can relate to that.
I was working at night too as a bartender. A lot of people don't know this because I had a mortgage to pay when I was in getting my doctorate, and I was really burning out, and I went right. I mean, I was in practice, I think only a week and a half after graduation. That's how fast we moved. And I was interning kind of just like yourself. And I just wanted to take care of people as quick as possible, not quickly in terms of care, but I wanted to get into an internship and get into practice as soon as possible. And I just hit the ground running there as well. There was no break. There was no moment. And I think my body just wasn't ready for all of that.
Yeah, I tell the story that the weekend after my boards, I get a call from Integrative Health, and Dr. C wanted to interview me for the residency position. It was 3 days of boards, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. 8-hour days, taking questions and, doing all these clinical cases to see if we learned enough to be licensed. So Monday morning comes around and I have to go interview. I interview at 9 a.m. 11 a.m. I get a text from Dr. C, and he's like, "Hey, I would like to have you over for dinner." And I'm like, "Oh man, this is either really good or really bad." So then, I go to his house, and I got the position, and everyone's happy. And then I go, "What? So when do I start?" And he says, "Tomorrow." so I have not officially taken any breaks since after graduation, but I wouldn't have it any other way because, like you said, the reason we came to this profession and the reason we came to this health space is because maybe my listeners, maybe you're listening to this blog and maybe you've been helped by different people in the health world. And your life has changed and you're changing your family's life and you're super excited and you want to extend that help. And if that's the reason you're listening or you want to continue helping, you can't wait. And those 4 years of doctorate, feel like an eternity because it's just so difficult to be on the sidelines, so close to the prize, and then all of a sudden you're released. So you really want to go and start helping everyone.
Absolutely. Well, and congratulations, because I just want to take a moment because studying for boards, it's all of that, just the studying, the culmination of everything for that weekend. And then on a Monday morning, getting started. Guillermo, how has that been for you? I mean, you hit the ground running like myself. How has that been? Have there been moments, have there been lessons for you in that process of self-care, or have you still just been hitting the ground? Is it because you're a guy? Do you get away with it?
So, it's really funny because I have the greatest mentor, and he has supported me so much throughout, my first year of practice, to the point that we meet at his house every Monday to discuss cases and just to learn practice management and to learn how to take care of patients. And if I have a difficult case, I can bring it up and we can, talk about what to do and how to do it. And we put our heads together and we figure it out, So when I started that, I wasn't licensed yet, so I couldn't see patients. So I started by shadowing. I started by, learning every position at the office, from, answering calls to greeting people to, the IV room. So it was a lot of learning. And then, once I got my license, which takes around 10 weeks after you finish your boards, I was shadowing the whole time, and then they started letting me see patients, and I started getting pretty busy pretty fast. And my office manager was like, okay, you're getting busy too fast. We're going to block half days. So, on odd days, you're gonna be working half a day seeing patients in the morning and then half a day shadowing. And then on even days, you're going to do the opposite. So it's so amazing because you are teaching someone how to be, you are a doctor, but how to be a better doctor. That's what residencies are for. And it would be very easy for someone that's getting busy just to keep adding patients because that's income. But they were so careful to make sure that I was completely 100% ready to see patients. So, I'm just so grateful for my mentors,
Absolutely. Yeah. My mentors, we would just went full tilt. And I do. I love Dr. C, and he's so wonderful. And, these journeys, these moments that we learn, we get to instill those values as well on our patients. And as much as that was a hard time for me, I'm really grateful for the opportunity because I saw so much of my patients in myself in my moment. And I realized, through my own journey, through my own healing process at that time, I was able to heal them. Even I felt like I was able to really see where they were coming from, understand them more, and coming from that place, being able to serve them a little bit better. So I think although it kind of sucked at the time, it ended up working out in the end.
Well, and now personally for my health journey, when I was in medical school, I was go, 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 go. I started my blog during my second year, and then I started my podcast during my third year of school. So I was trying to do everything and set myself up, because I didn't know where I was going to end up. So I wanted to make sure that at least I had a message and I could niche and all of that cool stuff. So I thought I was busy when I was in school. And then you graduate, and like the amount of busyness that comes with graduation is insane. I think and I believe that having that schedule for school and having that from quarter to quarter, it was way more predictable than what I'm doing now. So I probably shouldn't be intermittent fasting anymore, but it's just so convenient. But it's a stressor on my hormones, and it's just so much easier to not have to worry about making that extra meal. So I haven't learned anything. Hopefully in the next couple of months, within the next couple of months, I'm going to be able to have more control over my schedule and then apply, all of these different tips and tricks that, that we talk about on my life. Now, not to say that I don't take care of myself. I protect my sleep. I make sure, to eat the cleanest diet that I can. And like, for example, I love coffee, and I try to keep my coffee consumption as little as possible while I still live a fulfilling life, because what's it worth it if you can't have coffee,
I hear amen to that. Dr. C or no doctors taking that coffee away from me. I'll tell you what. But you're right. It's all about, sometimes I debate whether it's all about moderation. I don't necessarily believe in that either in all cases. But I think when it comes to something that you really love, like coffee, unless you absolutely can't tolerate it, then I think it's totally okay in moderation. And I think also intermittent fasting has a place in moderation as well, as long as it's serving. So often with the women I've worked with, in order to help regulate cortisol levels, intermittent fasting has been a super big game changer, But you do have to be mindful. If you recognize it starts to mess with you and it's not serving, then yeah, it's the time to kind of make some modifications.
Well, intermittent fasting works as a stressor. You're stressing your body into upregulating your immune system, and but if your stress is so big that intermittent fasting goes from being a good stressor to a bad stressor, you can break the camel's back. So whenever you do like a calorie deficit, or whenever you do some of those fasting mimicking diets, you shouldn't be going to CrossFit 3 times a week. You should.
No. I could never do CrossFit during a fasting mimicking diet.
Yeah, but we in the West, we think more is more. And so we try to create all of these crazy plans where, we're going to be doing a fasting mimicking diet plus maybe hit your cycling class maybe twice because you want to burn fat. But it all compounds, and in the end, you end up worse off. So being able to identify good stressors and just using them as tools is very important. And that's a lot of education.
Absolutely. Absolutely it is. I agree. And I think you're right. It's really about, well, more is not more. And that was my big lesson. More was not more. More was definitely not serving. And taking a good look at things that you can let go of. I let go of people. I let go of obligations. I let go of a lot of things that weren't serving me. Things had to go. And because we tend to do a lot because of other people's demands or other people's judgments or other people's expectations. So often we don't ask ourselves, what am I doing this for, or do I even like doing this? And those are good questions to ask ourselves, and ask ourselves, does my body need a spin class when I am cleansing, doing a fasting mimicking diet, or whatever that may be? I think when we begin to ask ourselves those questions, for instance, today, before I came here, that's why I know people can't see us, but I'm in workout clothes right now because I had an opportunity to work out, and I had to choose between kind of a HIIT workout or go hiking up at this little mountaintop that we do near the beach. And I was asking my body, like, what's really going to serve? I didn't want to come into this interview too amped up. I wanted to be able to take care of myself. And so we opted out of the HIIT training and we did the hike instead. And so but I think had I not asked myself that question, I probably would have just gone into the garage and done the big plyo training, the big HIIT training. So I'm more aware of how to ask myself those questions these days.
And, just like when we're talking about coffee, if you really enjoy coffee, well, set up your lifestyle to be able to support that stressor. If you really like plyo or HIIT workouts, if you really enjoy going to the CrossFit 3 times a week, maybe a ketogenic diet is not for you. Maybe you need to increase your carbohydrate content on those days. Maybe you need to not hit the 4 o'clock in the morning HIIT class, but like the 6 o'clock in the morning, So it's setting up your lifestyle to be able to do the stuff that you enjoy, because you can mess up your hormones. So I know all my listeners are like, so how they're wondering, how do hormones and being off your hormones being off balance, how can they affect and prevent weight loss?
Ooh, yes, that's such a great question. And there's a lot of hormones at play, right? We've got our thyroid hormones, we've got cortisol, we've got insulin, we've got leptin. The one that I see, at least for my patients I've taken care of, and really what happened to me when it felt like I just put on 35 pounds out of nowhere. And for me, that big hormone was cortisol. As I told you earlier, I had cortisol deregulation. Really, it was the HPA axis, which is the goodness, why am I having hypothalamic pituitary axis? There we go. A lot of interviews today. So that HPA axis, we tend to deregulate it, particularly in the limbic brain, when we're constantly in a state of what I call stranger danger. Our brain has not caught up with the fact that we live in this very fast-paced world. And when we are kind of racing to get to a meeting, or we're late for something, or we forgot something, I always call it, like my best friend calls it, clutch the pearls moment. I forgot to do this. Oh my God, I forgot to do this. I feel like women, we're just always constantly clutching the pearls. And, but your brain thinks that you are being chased by a tiger at that moment. That you're not just clutching pearls over a text message that you just got or whatnot. At the end of the day, your brain still thinks, oh my gosh, we need to go into survival mode. We need to go into this crazy fight or flight mode. And that begins a tailspin, because our cortisol, this really incredible hormone that's really running the show for our survival, is starting to run the orchestra, right, of a lot of other hormones. And in particularly the way that we regulate insulin, the way that our thyroid is functioning. And we can begin, if we're in survival all the time, your body's going to think, well, man, I need to hold on to what I've got. And we really start to hold on to that weight. It really becomes a lot more difficult to kind of let go of weight easily when we're in this constant stress state. Your body thinks like, well, heck, maybe Armageddon is coming tomorrow. I can't tell. She's running around like a banshee. I have no idea what's going on right now. And so that I find is causing a lot of belly fat, a lot of stored fat, and it's causing the deregulation of a lot of other hormones in the body as well. So that for me tends to be the scenario. And mind you, gut plays a role in here. Toxins play a role. All of those things can be big time triggers. But I think the way that we live our life is definitely not lending to losing weight in a natural and easy way.
And that's exactly right. The stressors in our, like primitive lizard brain, we really don't register them as we register them, in our consciousness. And that's why sometimes, you feel like, oh, I got a big interview, or I gotta go present somewhere in front of my class, and you think, like two weeks ago, I would have handled it correctly. But if you're like sleep deprived, or if you have done too much intermittent fasting, or it's going to register so much higher because of all the micro stressors that we have during our day. The best example that I have is driving. Driving can increase your stress level so much because it's survival. You don't know, like your body is kind of primed to be adverse to this type of scenarios. And imagine, you're driving a 4,000-pound vehicle with 4,000-pound vehicles all around you going at different speeds and you can't control it. That is definitely going to be a super stressor.
Absolutely. Well, then you compound traffic and everything. So I was telling you how we went and did this hike before this interview, and I was so happy to do the hike and be out there. But we get in the car, and it's it's in the evening. People are driving home, and we left a little bit later from the hike than I wanted to. And so we are pulling into the driveway 5 minutes before this interview, and I am running into the house. This is a little bit embarrassing to share this. This is what happened about a half hour ago. Running to the house, running to the room, getting everything set up for the interview. And I will tell you, I was so grateful that you had to go take the dog outside for a second, because I was like, oh, that's 2 more minutes I didn't have. And that, again, I consciously knew I was just running in to get prepped for an interview to make sure that I delivered the best content. But my brain was probably thinking like, oh my gosh, what is happening right now?
We're about to die.
We're about to die. And it's just, I'm just running late for this interview. I wasn't running late, but running late to prep it. And so, here we are in the car, and we're just getting stopped at every single light. And I'm just like, go green,
So what happens is that your body notices your emotional stress, and your body doesn't know what's going on outside of survival. So then you start releasing a little bit of glucose from your liver. So those are extra calories now that are circulating in your bloodstream. Maybe you'll release a little bit of epinephrine, thinking that, oh my goodness, I need to inflate my lungs a little bit better and get better vision, and then your digestion starts to suffer because you start shifting your blood supply from your gut to the rest of your body, because we don't know what's going on. Our instincts don't know that the only thing that you're about to do is sit in front of a computer and talk about health. But we don't, we unconsciously...
Talk about hormone that I ramped up.
Yeah. Totally. And our body thinks that, oh shit, we're dying. And so let's prepare for death. And it's insane that the reason we can't control these hormones is that technology has advanced so rapidly. 100 years ago, we wouldn't be able to hold a conversation over Skype after going on a hike and getting on a car and being, we wouldn't be able to. So, since technology is advancing so fast, we are presented with like the weirdest new scenarios that we haven't adapted for.
And it's a blessing in a lot of ways, too. It's a blessing that we get to be in different states and we get to do this. It's just a matter of, I think we have to just be more mindful. And we have to, I don't typically like to operate. And I will say, being out in nature and doing that hike was so wonderful. And my cortisol levels were so happy and calm and wonderful. And then I jacked him up a little bit on my way home. But I was doing something good for me. So I think, it's that awareness. I always feel like, looking at if women are coming to me and they've got weight resistance, and they're trying to figure out what's going on. I mean, clearly there's a lot of root causes that could be at play, but I always want to figure out, like, how are you living your life? How is it that, what's your day-to-day look like? What are you shoving into your face? How is it that you're living? I used to eat on the go. You eat in the car. And I never even sat down to eat. Like, sitting down to eat felt like a waste of time. And that was such a terrible habit to have. But I had all these little habits like that built in that were constantly signaling my body, like, yeah, no, we are in Armageddon constantly.
I would rather worry about talking to someone over Skype than be worried about like on the Oregon Trail when when it would say, "Oh,
Right? Oh my goodness,
you got Shigella," or being worried about, "Oh, we haven't had rain in 3 months," or So it's not that our ancestors or the previous generations didn't have stressors. It's just that they had different stressors, and then because we didn't have fluorescent lights, and because we didn't have Game of Thrones, you would go to bed early and you wouldn't be able to stay up late.
Right? You didn't have Netflix, right? That one extra episode when you should be in bed.
Yeah, so I love technology, and I love how we can help people with technology, but it's a weapon, and it's a double-edged sword. So you change some habits, like eating, instead of eating on the go, you would sit down and eat, or you would be more mindful, and you hike, which would reset your circadian rhythm had it not been for the traffic to come talk to me. What other ways can you reset your hormones?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and we're talking specifically about women. One of the things is, I think having an outlet, having girlfriends that you can reach out to and talk to, where you can kind of, I wouldn't call it vent out your days, but just being able to kind of, reset and be able to connect. I think connectivity is such an important part. When we're able to connect with our girlfriends or go out to lunch or hug it out, we're boosting oxytocin. I also love, meditation or yoga, something where you are, you're giving your brain an opportunity to shut down. You're being more present, and you're really setting yourself up for success as well. Making sure that you're taking your vitamins, right? Vitamin B, vitamin D, your omegas are going to be super important here. And then do some self-care, a massage once or twice a month. Limit your alcohol and coffee if you do find that it's revving you up. So often we use coffee because we're trying to get through this lull and we survive off of it. And then we use alcohol, like a glass of wine or two at night, to kind of shut things down. And it can turn into a crazy tailspin when we get into those habits. I don't think that you shouldn't be allowed to enjoy those things. I just don't know if we should become dependent on them, because I don't necessarily know if they do us well when we are dependent upon them. And then, having, like I said, having that self-care. And one of the things that I love, and we've talked about this, is I am such a fan of essential oils. So I always have my oils on me anytime things hit the fan. If I'm feeling stressed or I'm feeling overwhelmed or I'm feeling lack of energy, I'm going to grab an oil. I'm going to grab an oil like lavender and bergamot for reducing cortisol levels and really just helping to calm the brain. Or if I need a little bit of an energy boost, wild orange and peppermint. So I love to use something like that, because I think about a lot of the habits that we have that drive our cortisol levels are rituals that we've created, and we get to swap those rituals out for something a little bit more healthier. And so for me, having oils around is an easy swap out. And instead of grabbing for an extra coffee in the afternoon, I just grab an oil. Instead of kind of being in that funky place of feeling overwhelmed, I'll just grab an oil. Like, I love having something that feels nourishing, that can be used as an emergency tool, that is serving me and reminding me to shut it down. So those are some things that we can do. And then adaptogenic herbs like ashwagandha, rhodiola, everyone's a little bit different with those. So I want you to check out, go and see you to make sure that those herbs are really serving them. But again, if that HPA axis is getting deregulated, we got to be able to figure out a way to calm it down as well. And I find adaptogenic herbs are big. For me, ashwagandha was a lifesaver. And so I take it every single day. But, not ashwagandha isn't right for everybody. It's really just figuring out what works for you. And you mentioned sleep. Sleep is massive. Protecting your sleep at all costs even if you walk away from Netflix, is huge, because that is also a big driver for high cortisol levels.
So let's go back to connections, how you're saying that, like hang out with your girls. So just trying to get as many Facebook likes as possible?
You're hilarious.
Will that count as being connected?
No, not the social connections, right? It's about the real, actual connections. Go on a hike with your girlfriend, or go to yoga with your girlfriend, or go do coffee with your girlfriend. Something where you get to physically be around somebody. One of the things I learned as a practitioner years ago is that touch is such a healing modality, that there's so much healing that happens with touch, that we're able to create those really beautiful hormones, those happy, loving neurotransmitters, and it brings safety, it brings belonging, and it brings connectedness to us as well, and it lowers stress levels. I mean, just getting a hug from a friend, oh my gosh, what a game change it could be. So, I mean, even if you just schedule hugs with friends, I know how ridiculous that may sound. That is the game change. Or your family, your husband, your wife, whoever it may be. I give my husband, he works with me in our business, and I give my husband, Alex, hugs throughout the day. And I'll have to be honest, not that I'm not giving hugs for him, but oftentimes I'm giving him hugs for me.
And it's so funny, because like at the school, there was a group of students that would do cuddle puddles.
Cuddle puddles, yes.
So, have you ever been part of a cuddle puddle?
I have. Tell me about your cuddle puddles, though.
I have never been a part of a cuddle puddle, but for what I gather, this group of people would, schedule these parties where people would just like lay around and just like hug and cuddle. I think they were looking for that. They were trying to hack that connection. And,
absolutely.
Yeah, and it's so funny that we are substituting connection. In this I don't even know what to call it. This interpersonal relationships. With social media, and how that is not a substitute. That is not a one-to-one. We only have a certain amount of latitude for friends, and once you get into the 500, 600, that is, our brain doesn't know how to process that, and that's why so many people get stressed out with social media. Were you at the Brandon Burchard's talk?
I was.
When he said that in order to be more effective and more start our days better, the worst thing you can do is check your email or check social media first thing in the morning. I've been doing that ever since. I don't check my email. I don't check social media up until later in the day. And, I wish I didn't have to work social media as hard as I have to. But because we're in this health space, and because we want to be a source of good, we have to. Because if we don't, the bad people are going to. and I would rather someone, see, that I posted this podcast rather than, a different post about negativity, or a different post about politics, or fast food restaurants. So
yuck to all of it.
Yeah, so we have to work this social media, and we have to promote ourselves in order to get the word out. But by doing that, by waiting up until later in the day and batch all of those tasks, I have found that my day seems way simpler. And like he said, as adults, when we wake up and we're not even out of bed, and we're looking at our email list and our emails, and then we look at social media, it's like he says, imagine if you were an adolescent in high school, and first thing in the morning, they give you your homework for the day. And then second, they have you compare yourself to other people. And then that's like starting your day like that. It's just not going to work out.
No, it absolutely isn't. You're so right. And it's other people's demands, right? You're comparing yourself to other people. It's other people's demands. And it's stressful. It's not a great way to start your morning. I'm such a big proponent of a morning ritual, and those rituals do not involve Instagram, Facebook, or email. It's about, one of my favorite things to say is, create before you consume. I'm a big proponent of gratitude journaling, or just journaling down what you want your day to look like before you begin to consume other content, other people's information, other people's demands, because we deserve to have that time that belongs to ourselves. And it's setting the tone for the rest of the day. You can easily start your day like a Tasmanian devil, running through the room just in time to grab a coffee, to get out the door, and you're going to find that your day is pretty much going to run like. And when you're able to take time to get your mind right, get your emotions right, get your body right, take care and fuel your body for the morning, even if it's 15, 20 minutes, whatever that looks like, you really set yourself up for success. Probably one of the biggest game changes I made for my hormones and I made for my life was having a morning routine where I wasn't on anyone else's agenda. I was on my own agenda. It's big. And I think that is something we can all learn from, is how do we get to take care of ourselves first before we go off into the world and take care of everybody else.
Well, now you set up yourself for this question. What's your morning routine?
So my morning routine, it starts in the morning. I got my oils, so I have oils right by the bedside. I love the citruses because they have monoterpene content. And really what that means is they are uplifting, they're energizing, and they're just happy oils. They're also great antioxidant boosters as well. So I usually take a deep breath of like wild orange or tangerine, something really pretty. I go into the kitchen, I turn on the espresso machine. I'm not gonna lie, that espresso machine goes on. But I also do a glass of lemon water every day, like a 16-ounce glass of lemon water before I do anything else to prime the pump, so to prime my digestive system. We get the coffee machine going. I make a green smoothie with berries and avocado and clean protein. So it's got all of the critical ingredients so that I'm feeling like I'm running through my day on track. I take my supplements and then I write in my gratitude journal. I either go outside and step into nature, so I take like a 5 to 10 minute walk, or I do a little yoga routine inside of my house because I just want to get my body moving. So those are typically the things I do pretty much every single day. And it takes me no more than a half hour, and that half hour is everything. Like, try to take that half hour from me. I swear to goodness, I'll fight you for it. And so, but yeah, that's my morning routine. I feel like it's very doable, very easy. And it creates so much success in my day when I do it.
I've always encouraged a night routine.
Yes, absolutely.
But now I'm going to start encouraging a morning routine because, my night routine is like around 20 minutes before going to bed, shutting down everything, getting the dog ready for bed, getting some magnesium, and just begin that ramp down, process. But your morning routine sounds better than snooze for 30 minutes.
Right? And I know there's snoozers out there. I know they're listening right now. And, it's not to say that if you're finding yourself snoozing, definitely reevaluate, your sleep. If you went to bed early enough, you got to get up. But an evening routine is so important because just like we can Tasmanian devil into our day, so often people are literally running into bed on the way and then bringing their phones into bed. I highly recommend an evening ritual that starts about 20 to 30 minutes, just like you, with oils, powering down, never bringing the phone into the bedroom. We don't have a TV in our bedroom.
No, that's a big one.
Big no. And at least for me, I'm so glad we're in alignment with that. And I love reading. Oh, I'm such a reader. And so have a real book. They still sell them.
Well, it's funny, it's like my room, like I have an office, I have a divider that separates, so I'm like 5 feet from my bed, and my room, you can see, you guys can't see, but she can. I have beautiful aluminum foil over my windows because my room is 100% dark at night, and then I get my bed, my bedroom pretty cold. Okay, and then I have a heavy blanket, that I'm, because that pressure has been shown to calm you down and feel better. Pitch black, LEDs, all the LEDs like from the alarm and all of that's covered. So, that gives me my best rest. And I've been doing that before I even, heard about, paleo or anything that, all of the health trends that I follow. It was just intuitively, that's how I wanted to have my resting place, Growing up, we had a TV, and it annoyed the shit out of me to have my siblings, watching TV before going to bed. I've never had a TV in my bedroom, and that, most of my patients, that is like a sticking point. I say, I start talking about the ritual, and then I get to TV, take the TV out of the bedroom, and it's like I slapped them,
Oh yeah, they become toddlers real quick, right? They're just like, don't you take that TV from me.
And you know what they say, like 9 times out of 10, they'll say, well, it's not like I'm watching, I just have it on and I fall asleep to it. We have photoreceptors, not just in our eyes. We have photoreceptors all over our skin because we have to convert vitamin D in every square inch of our skin. So having that TV, even if it's a low volume, even if it's just static, it's interrupting your sleep. And if you think you're sleeping well, take that TV out and try it, and your life will be changed.
You're absolutely right. And I'm so grateful that you're saying that. You're so 100%, recognizing that there's a lot more at play there when you have that TV going, and especially it's messing with you, even if you're not listening to it or watching it. It's having a profound effect on your ability to get deep, restful sleep. I mean, I remember I dated someone a long, long time ago, and they had a TV in their bedroom, and they would keep it on. And, random shows were on every night. Who knows? And they'd fall asleep with it. And in the middle of the night, like 2 a.m, the TV would still be going, and there would be like some crazy fight scene or something. And it would wake me up in the middle of the night. And it was insane, And I have a feeling that people are getting disturbed. I doubt everyone's turning the TV off when they fall asleep.
Another scenario is people that think that sleeping is like a waste of time. Or like, I don't like to sleep, or because I could be productive. Like, imagine if you, instead of saying, I don't need to sleep that much, I perform correctly, or I perform as accurate as if I hadn't slept. It's like when people say, the more I drink, the better dancer I become. Lies, because if you recorded yourself, you could see how you're not dancing any better. Same thing, there has been studies, and sleep deprivation does diminish the accuracy of your tasks. Even and the crazy thing is that your brain compensates for that by making you think that you're doing better. So what ends up happening is that your brain is trying to control your hormonal outputs and tell you, oh no, it's fine. And meanwhile, you make more errors, and you are making more mistakes, so you are not any better. So if you think that you are performing at optimal levels with 5 hours of sleep, again, try it. Go a couple of weeks sleeping 9 hours, and you will see the difference.
I 100% agree. I mean, and it lends to the conversation we've been having this whole time, which is, you're talking about stress on the body. You got to love your liver. You got to love your brain. You got to love your gut, and all of those organs that are helping to run your hormones, helping to ensure that your body's functioning properly. They run on sleep. They have to have it in order to repair and regenerate. And I think we have to emphasize that. And I know people are busy. I get it. And I know that it feels like, you can get so much more done if you just stay up a little bit later, but it's going to cost you in the long run. I always say, you're going to pay later for that kind of time that you've given up.
And it's not that, that we have to become hermits, and we have to, we started the conversation with like, you don't take my coffee away from me. We change our lifestyle. Unfortunately, lifestyle is the toughest thing to change. It's easy to give you a supplement. It's easy to give you, take this product. That can help you for a short period of time, but that is not switching the underlying cause of disease. a supplement can help you overcome periods of stress, like when we were in school, what would we do without adrenal support? But we knew that we had made a commitment to our family and to our profession, and we wanted to help people. So we were putting ourselves on the line in order to be able to help others. So we knew that during that period of time, maybe a little bit of adrenal support could help us, graduate unscathed. But now, that doesn't mean that if you are not willing to change your life, that's it, I'm cutting you off. There are ways that we can help people while they're working to change their lifestyle. So what are some ways people can get started with some herbs to help them, in this journey to change their lifestyle?
Absolutely. So I do say you cannot supplement your way out of a bad diet, right? Food is foundational. However, herbs and supplements play a critical role as well. And coming from a girl who takes a lot of supplements myself, I think it's super important that we're getting the foundations. Your hormones, they got to be built and they got to be regulated. So you need a good omega, you need a good multi. Good. You need to make sure that you're good on your deficiencies. Are you deficient in vitamin D? So it's worth getting checked out, worth looking at all of your labs with your practitioner, your functional practitioner, to make sure that you're not missing any deficiencies, like even iron or B vitamins. We just don't get those types of supplements or those types of nutrients and vitamins in all of the food that we eat. And if you find yourself not eating enough fruits and vegetables, it's absolutely worth looking at and see what's going on. But I also want to recommend, I do love adaptogenic herbs if it's the right way to go. I think that plays a big role as well, especially for cooling down that hypothalamic pituitary axis. And those are like rhodiola, ashwagandha, cordyceps. Those are great things to take. And there's a lot of adrenal support blends that are out there. I know Dr. C and Guillermo, you recommend those as well. And you probably even are taking them yourself. I think those are important. And then I think a lot of it is that food hormone interaction. Changing the way that we eat and drink is super, super critical. Making sure that you're being mindful about what you put into your body. Are you having, sensitivities to things like gluten or sugar or dairy? Are they lighting you up? Are they causing gut disturbances in your body? Because that, again, lends to a lot of the reason why we may be holding on to our weight, or it could be playing a role starting a fire that's lending to something like Hashimoto's or other hormone deficiencies. So it's worth looking at that as well. I think food plays a major role in this conversation. I recommend a lot of women, focusing on healthy, lean, grass-fed proteins, lots of green leafy vegetables, eating the colors of the rainbow, and a lot of healthy fats. We really do need fats to create a lot of what we've got going on, particularly our brain function, our heart function, and then every cell in the body to transmit messages. So food plays a major role there. And then my other thing that I love to recommend is using the use of essential oils. As you mentioned, Guillermo, it is hard to make lifestyle changes. It's hard to get yourself at bed at night if you're used to burning the midnight oil. Or it's hard to get up in the morning if you're not getting enough sleep and manage stress, manage cravings, whatever those things may be going on. And at the end of the day, we're going to be very straight up. All of those things are critical and important, and they need to be a priority. And if you're struggling with getting those lifestyle habits on track, well, then you got to figure out how to get them on track. And that's my big lesson here. And the way that I have done it is I pair oils with a lot of what I do. Like I use oils before I work out. I use oils 30 minutes before going to bed. My go-to oils for bedtime are clary sage, lavender, vetiver, Roman chamomile, and cedarwood. And I dare you to run an essential oil diffuser before bed and not feel relaxed and sleepy. They're going to put you out, and in a really natural way. And the same thing within the morning. Use oils that are going to kind of give you that little booster, that little perk.
You know what my favorite adaptogen is?
Yeah, tell me.
Tulsi. Holy basil.
Oh, yes, absolutely, Tulsi. Yeah, holy basil is amazing. So tell me a little bit about why you love it.
Well, it just jives with me. It's one of those that I've taken in the past, and maybe it's time for me to take more holy basil. But we have a holy basil. I live next to the school, and we have a medicinal garden, and we have a holy basil plant. It grows really well here in the desert, and it's just amazing. It smells amazing, and it tastes amazing. I just love holy basil. I don't know if you're aware that we do a lot of research, and I do a lot of research with botanicals specifically. And my area of interest is antibacterial and antimicrobial properties of plants.
I didn't know this.
Yeah,
very,
totally.
Very cool.
Yeah, you should check out the papers. There's a group, so I'm really involved at research at SCNM, and there's a group of people within the research department that they're running experiments where they get a petri dish and they put bacteria all over the petri dish, okay? And then they put a little custom-made little glass vial that fits inside the petri dish, and they put it in the middle of the agar, okay? And then they put essential oils on the little vial, okay? And without touching the agar or the bacteria, we are getting different zones of inhibition for bacteria.
Oh, that is so cool, because I was thinking about how you're running this test. I don't know if you know, I was a biochemist for many years before I became a doctor. So I've seen oils on plates with bacterium, right? But not where it's been isolated away from the bacteria in the agar, and you're seeing inhibition of those bacteria even without the oil touching.
So I love my diffuser, and I use my diffuser in lieu of those things that you plug into the wall. Plug them out, because those things are just estrogens that are gonna give you man boobs. So don't do that, okay? Get yourself a really nice diffuser and get yourself some, a collection of essential oils, and your house is gonna be amazing, and you're gonna be better for it, But yeah, the coolest thing is, and this is what makes me really excited, is that not all of the essential oils work as antimicrobials. And that is super amazing, because if they all worked, then we have a problem. What's happening? Are they toxic? Are they, is it the extraction method? Is it that the oil in itself is destroying? No. Different oils from different plants work, and some don't. And that's amazing. That shows us that there is something about certain oils that when they become volatile, and this is without a diffuser, this is just naturally the aromatic compounds that because of the atmosphere and whatever are released. There is some ability of some of these compounds to travel and create different zones of inhibition, and that's amazing. So we've talked about adaptogenic herbs, and we've talked about all of these different cool things, rituals, but every time I have a female guest on my show, I want to ask this question, because I don't have a sweet tooth at all. Like zero. Okay. So, like, for example, someone asked me at the office, so what are you doing during Thanksgiving? And I go, I just grab another plate of turkey. I don't care about sweets. Okay. And that's something that, that comes up over and over. Like, how am I going to stop eating sugar? How am I going to break my sweet tooth? I don't have a sweet tooth, so I got nothing for you. What are some ways that people can help themselves break that sweet tooth without having to suffer through it? Because if you suffer through it, you'll eventually get over it. But what are some ways that you can help yourself facilitate that process?
Yeah, I love it, because this is a question I get all the time. I have a whole article on how to break up with sugar, or how to.
Do you have a sweet tooth?
I don't. I actually don't.
You never did?
I'm not. I did once. So I've broken up with sugar a couple of times, and I go on long, long breaks without sugar. And I don't, I mean, not that I don't love, like, I love desserts, but I rarely ever have them. Like, rarely.
And that's the thing. I don't like desserts.
You don't even like desserts. Who are you?
So I have no compassion. It's like Dr. C.
No compassion.
Yeah, it's like Dr. C. He doesn't do caffeine. He doesn't do alcohol. He goes to bed at 8, and he's like, we talk, and he's like, yeah, just, have him quit caffeine or have him quit coffee. He doesn't use it, so it's like, just stop drinking it. Like, yeah, if it was that easy, but that's the same thing, I can, like this one shocks a lot of people. I cannot tell the difference between sugar and stevia. Like they taste the same, or like aspartame, or sweet and low or whatever, and sugar. It's just sweet to me. So I have just stop eating sugar, dudes. But what are some ways that you can help yourself?
I think the first way is, one, setting yourself up for success. So making sure that you have protein in every single meal so that you don't feel hungry. You don't feel like you have a craving. That's a big one. And then getting aware of when those triggers come in for you. Is it midday? Is it after dinner when you're watching your Netflix show? Like, when are these triggers coming in for you? Because you could be doing it unconsciously. And then if indeed you've kind of gotten the pinpoint, you know what's going on, I definitely have other recommendations. But the number one thing that I've helped thousands of women do is, again, have oils. And the most researched oil for reducing sugar cravings, there was a really awesome article by Dr. Alan Hirsch, who discovered that peppermint oil can literally banish sugar cravings. And it is such an easy technique. So he just tells people to take a drop of oil, dilute it. So just pre-dilute it, or you can buy them pre-diluted. Drop of oil on your palms, rub your palms together. Anytime you feel that craving come on, that frappuccino craving, or that brownie craving, or the Oreo craving, or whatever it is that you're into, take that peppermint oil and breathe it in a couple of times, and it'll reset. It'll reset the brain. It'll reset those cravings. And that is one of the best go-to emergency technique that I have up my sleeve. And it has worked for so many women. I get emails every day that peppermint is their saving grace.
That's amazing. And that's why I have different perspectives come to my show, because that's such a much better answer to that question than just deal with it.
Right? Yeah, no, that's not going to work.
No, that's not going to work.
Will tear your head off.
Yeah.
If you stand between them and their chocolate.
Yeah. So Dr. Snyder, where can people find you? How can people get that article on breaking up with sugar? How can people, just spoiler alert, you're going to have to come back when your book comes out.
Yes, please. I would love that. This has been so much fun, Guillermo. I've had the most fun. My favorite interview today. I didn't know it was going to be when I was getting interviewed. My favorite interview today for sure. But you can find me. So I have a podcast as well, and I can't wait to have you on it.
Oh,
it's called
awesome.
the Essentially You podcast. And it's all about helping women become the CEO of their health. It's for women. Also, website is Dr. Mariza, so DrMariza, and the Sugar Cravings blog is one of my favorites, and it's very, people love it. So it should be easy to find. You can just drmariza.com/sugar cravings. So those are the two places. And then if you do want to check me out, my new book is coming out early next year, but I've written 6 others, and they're all on Amazon, including I have another essential oil book that's been a big bestseller as well. If you wanted to just get your feet wet and learn about the power of essential oils. Guillermo, it's so much fun to know that you are in your own experiments in the lab working with oils as well. So I just love that.
Awesome. Yeah. So whenever your next book comes out, maybe we can do we can open it up for Facebook questions, and maybe we can do a Facebook Live and then use it as a podcast or something like that, just to get people a little bit more direct access and maybe answer the questions that I'm not thinking about.
Yeah, I'd love that. I think that's a great idea. I think that would be so much fun. And you're such a great interviewer. I just want to say this podcast interview has been so much fun, and I'm so grateful that you've been doing this good work for a while. Congratulations that you decided to do this while you were still in school.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, so we're gonna you heard it here first, folks. We're gonna rope her back into this podcast in a couple of months when her new book comes out. So if you have any questions or anything, you can start sending them right now, and then we'll do a big production of this and talk about the new rituals that we've created. We're gonna have like a morning, evening, royal tea, and then evening ritual, and then night ritual before everything's over. Our lives are going to be run by rituals.
I love it. I'm about it. I think our whole life already is ran by rituals. It's just a matter of getting rid of the ones that aren't serving and swapping them out for better.
That is the truth. Well, Dr. Mariza, thank you so much for being on the show, and I'll talk to you soon.
Sounds wonderful. Thank you.